Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and waters by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed. Maritime Matters.
And a very pleasant good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, out there in Radio Land. You are now tuned in to Maritime Matters. Whether you're listening via radio wave on 97.5 FM, via the internet, radio app, via cable Bahamas, channel 951, or via BTC Flow TV, channel 606. We appreciate you and we humbly welcome you to our show. We invite you and encourage you to check out our YouTube page, Maritime Matters Bahamas. Here you can listen to all of our previous shows at your own leisure. Again, pleasant good evening. I am Captain Glenn Bain. It's the 39th Maritime Matters Week, people. Tonight, our hot topic discussion will be foreigners engaged in domestic maritime employment here in our little Bahamas. There is a Bahamas government policy which specifies that only Bahamian citizens should be employed in the transportation industry. This among many other industries. Are the authorities responsible for enforcing this policy actually doing so? The simple answer, my friend, is no. They are not. What is the real reason for this policy? Who are the entities that are obligated to enforce this policy? What areas in maritime is being heavily impacted due to failure of this policy being applied? Will we eventually regain a grip on having Bahamians fully employ this sector domestically? We are in for quite an intriguing one tonight, people. So please, don't you dare touch that dial. Our sponsors for tonight's show are One-on-One Pharmacy, of course. One-on-One Pharmacy is our people, and guess what? My good little cousin Shantia Heel McBride was in the news all day. And why was Shantia in the news? Because she not only sponsors the show, she happens to be the owner of one of the pharmacies, which is One-on-One Pharmacy. And she's also the person in charge of the association. Is it chairman or, I don't know, head, woman in charge, whatever they call it, head, man in charge. But she's in charge of the Pharmacy Association. And as you know, the Pharmacy Association is being squeezed in a little corner. What you mean by squeezed in a little corner? The government is trying to dictate how much profit or how much markup they could put on each item. I mean, I didn't even know they was dictating it before. Now I'm hearing now that they had it dictated to 50% markup. Now they want to reduce that to 35% markup. So what happens to that 15% on every item they sold that they paid their bills with? I guess they ain't supposed to make no profit. You're supposed to just have a store, employ people, and you don't make nothing. Can't pay your bills. Well, obviously that you know, that's hard for any business entity to cut it. I have a business myself. Bahamas Maritime Connection. If I was to lose 15% of my revenue, you know, big things will have to happen because it's not an easy. Right now we on edges, just trying to keep people employed. You know, so the government need to understand that not only government employs people, these private companies, you know, we cut it. Sometimes it's really, really hard, and a lot of us go belly up at the end of the day because we owe so long and so much, and we just can't pay all our bills. So please, this don't only apply to the pharmacies. Please don't be limiting businesses and causing them to have to shut doors. This is just not a good idea. And I haven't heard anybody all day say the government is doing the right thing. Because, it just can't make sense. Let's make it make a little bit more sense. Anyway, one-on-one pharmacy is our sponsors. So I got to be on their side. Not only if they're wrong, they're wrong. But boy, they ain't wrong this time. And all the pharmacists in the Bahamas, we say, stand firm. Do what you got to do. You have to protect these pharmacies. We all have to protect them. Let's stand with them. When you go in one-on-one pharmacy, and most pharmacies are nice. You don't go in no pharmacy and get no bad treatment. But one-on-one pharmacies give you that little extra special stuff going on there. They're located on East Street South and Charles Sanders Highway. So do check them out. Whenever you go there, let them know Maritime Matters sent you. Ask for my good cousin Stephanie. That's my girl. We grow up like brother and sister. And just let her know, Maritime Matters send me here, man. Give me a little something on this break here. And you're straight. We're also sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection. I just mentioned that. Okay. PMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. To the listening audience out there, it will really not be good for me to go any further and not introduce to you all my dog, the guy who got me on the show, the guy who keep me on the show, the guy who keep things ticking up in here. So please, I introduce to you again the insatiable, the man of the hour and all the power. He is fully able, quite capable, all the time. Man, the twist on the wheels of steel, Mr. Craig Gibson. Yeah, that's the man. Yeah, Craig, I got you, buddy. You are listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 19:30 every Tuesday night here on Love 97 FM. The primary purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to the maritime industry in the Bahamas and also to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. And we say opportunities because we got so much opportunities of foreigners coming and taking it all. That's why tonight we're going to address foreigners working in the maritime sector that quite technically shouldn't be in our home trade maritime. If we're doing stuff domestically in this country, man, come on. That's for Bahamians, especially in the transportation area. So we got to deal with that today. Or should I say tonight? So halfway through the show, we got to open the lines. The number to call will be 326-8255. I'll repeat that later on down. Number you can reach us on if you want to make a contribution, and I trust that you will be inclined to do so tonight, is 326-8255. Now, we got some maritime heroes in our past. We want to highlight them. And as I always say to you, we're looking for more heroes. You don't have to be there to be a hero. Boy, but, you got to be a household name at least. Leading the list, champion skipper, HMBS Flamingo, Defense Force, the officer extraordinaire, senior commander, Amos Roll. May he continue to rest in peace. May all of our heroes continue to rest in peace. Because, they're all going to leave us. They did what they had to do. And they left us with all the good memories about the great things they did. Second on my list, Port Control Extraordinaire. The man who can go in Mickey Harrison's office, call him on a first name basis, go unannounced, and Mickey tells him, "Come in, Leon. Come here," and they hug each other. And anytime Mr. Flowers want to send somebody on a cruise, all you got to do is say, "You want to go on a cruise? I got you." Call Mickey, tell Mickey so-and-so want to go on a cruise. It's all paid for, everything covered. All you got to do is get to the ship. That's the kind of power this man had, because he was there when the carnival was only little tiny boats coming to the dock. And because of his input, they were able to grow at Prince George Dock and grow in the Bahamas from carnival to carnival to carnival. Now they're the largest cruise ship company in the world. They got some of the largest ships, but of course, they ain't got the largest ones. The largest ones come from RCCL. And we can talk about one of them tonight. We can talk about the big icon. That's what we can talk about tonight. Third on our list is the great sloop sailing champion, the greatest name the Bahamas has ever known in sloop sailing, people. That's the legendary Captain the Raleigh Gray, your boat. Last but not least, never least, is the two great men that got the gold medals in Olympics in a maritime activity, which is sailing. The Star Class sailboat. And not too big of a sailboat, but only two of them, and they beat the world. They beat the world. Well, of course, they was representing the Bahamas, but the Bahamas is under the UK then. So when they won that gold, the Union Jack went up. And what's the name of the national anthem in Britain? God Save the Queen was played. But guess what? They did it for the Bahamas, and we don't forget that. Someday soon, hopefully, we'll have another maritime medal in Olympics, either swimming or another sailor. I see some young chappy. He won a big sailing event the other day. I just hope he could go on to Olympics and win another gold so I could keep him on, add him to this list. What's in our local maritime highlights? We don't have anything. Nothing I know about. Ain't nobody give me no information. I see nothing in the papers. So our seas are quite calm, nice sailing. Everything just going smooth. And we hope it stays that way, you know. I want to give a shout out to a friend of mine. And this is not just a friend. It's this family. My 89-year-old Auntie May. Auntie May, you just make me so proud when you call me the next morning and tell me you was listening to the show. And you tell me everything that we covered on the show. And you 89, going on 90, you're almost 90 years old. I don't know how you do it. But hats off to you, Auntie May. Thank you for continue listening. And I want the world to know that you're the greatest auntie ever. So Lauren and Nisi and you all just make sure to take care of my good auntie up there in Freeport. Thank you, Auntie May. Now, international maritime events. I basically go on the maritime feed, the international feed, and I put along some rather interesting. Boy, we got 3 or 4 really interesting stuff. You know, we ain't doing this for a little while, so bear with me. I know we won't get to this topic, but these foreigners working in our maritime world up in here. But we can get there. Let's just cover some of these international RCI. That's Royal Caribbean International. I think that's I know it's RCCL, the people who own the RCCL ships, the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line ships. There's a new ship just about to be launched. It's going to be delivered in January of 2024. So about another 13 months. The name of this one is Icon of the Seas, people. This is going to be the world's biggest cruise ship ever. On board that ship will be almost 10,000 people. And you add up the crew and the passenger, almost 10,000 people on one ship. It is 20 decks high. Not how tall is 20 decks. You got a hotel with 20 floors. I don't even know if we get none of them in the Bahamas no more. I know I think Holiday Inn used to have 18 floors back in the day. Anyway, 20 floors is what the ship have going up. It's almost 1,200 feet long. So that's 1,198, only shy of 2 feet to be 1,200 foot long. You know, cruise ship ever been 1,200 foot long? Not even close. Over 250,000 gross tons. This will be a first. You had the Oasis class that broke the 200,000 barrier. They were like 220,000 gross tons. Now this one, the Icon class, is a first of 3. The Icon class is going to be it's actually over 250,000 gross tons. So we're talking huge. I don't know if they're going to ever reach 300,000. They said they didn't think they would have never reached 100,000 tons when I first started my piloting. But here we are today. Over 250,000 gross tons in one ship. The Icon of the Seas. Of course, they boast the largest water park at sea. Something they call Thrill Island Top Deck Neighborhood. They say the whole top deck is a sea island. They call it a sea island neighborhood. You can't beat that, man. That's all on one ship. They got 6 water slides, including the tallest drop slide at sea. Well, of course, if this is the tallest ship, they must have got the tallest drop slide, eh? It's elementary. First suspended infinity pool and swimmer bar at sea. You know, you go to some of them hotels, I think Sandals and a couple of them have these bar where you're swimming in the pool and then the stool underwater and you just come and you sit on the stool and order your drink. But they got that at sea on this the biggest ship in the world, the biggest cruise ship in the world. This ship will sail week-long Eastern and Western Caribbean itineraries. But whenever they go, whether they go in East or West Caribbean, they will always stop at Coco Key in the Bahamas. And they call it Perfect Day at Coco Key. So here it is, the largest ship in the world. Every week they're going to be coming to the Bahamas. Ain't that nice? Thank you very much, RCCL. Thank you very much. And you can't leave Disney out, because every time Disney build a ship, they're key here in the Bahamas, they get on there every week too. So the icon of the seas will be the first of 3 sister ships to be delivered by 2026. So this one, 2024 January, next one, 2025 January, next one, 2026 January. And that's the 3 of them going down. Largest ships ever built, all over 250,000 gross tons. Come on, man. We on a comeback or what? Ships race. The second item here now is about Ukraine, the grain. I told you all about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think it was, that there was a brokerage done between Russia, Ukraine. Turkey got the brokerage done along with the United Nations. And what they agreed to do was to export the grain out of all those silos, because Ukraine they have like 15% of the world's grain, and they had those silos full. But after the war started, they couldn't get them out. Why couldn't they get them out? Because in the Black Sea, where they got to go before they reach Turkey, to pass through the Sea of Mamania or whatever that sea name, to get into the Mediterranean Sea, to get out in the ocean, to go anywhere in the world. But usually, they go right around those ports in the Mediterranean to carry the grain from Ukraine. But all that stopped after the war started in February. And only in August they were allowed, because Russia had a lot of mines in the Black Sea, and Ukraine had a lot of mines in the Black Sea. So if you don't know where the mines are, you know what a mine is? It's a big bomb that they put underwater. So if a ship go near that bomb, kabloom. Or they could put a timing on it, kabloom. So they had the Black Sea infested with mines, still infested with mines. So what the brokerage, what Turkey and the United Nations did is they got Russia and Ukraine together for the good cause, for common cause, to say, look, we got the people in India and this place and that place, they relying on your grain, and they right now they're starving. They don't have no grain. We need to get these grains out of these silos. They can go bad anyhow. So Russia and Ukraine agreed, because all 2 of them will make money out of it, eh? Russia got a lot of grains that they put to the world too. Between them and Ukraine, it's like 35% of the world grain, just between those 2 countries. So they got grain, and they have smaller quantities of sunflower, soybeans, barley, all those things. And they came out. They came out during the last 3 months. Now Russia decided to end the agreement. The agreement will end on the 22nd of November, because Russia don't like how they're trying to treat them. Not they as in Ukraine, they as in the rest of the world, especially Europe. Say, man, look here, y'all, I trying to help out, and y'all gave me all the stress. And this 3 month, what I agreed to when this window finish, shut it off. My mines will come active again. So, ship could be going through this corridor that be cleared. I could put more mines in there, and I don't, this grain stuff, this stop. Russia just being mean. I mean, I can't say I blame them. They're just trying to say, well, look, ain't none of y'all for me, so it ain't make no sense me being a humanitarian up in here. Mine clearing corridor will become high risk again after the 22nd of November. So as at the 18th October, this was, it's last month now because today's the first, eh? As at 18 October, they had 354 loaded ships outbound from Ukraine with grain. They set record in the world for the amount of grain transported out of a particular area at any one time. And they had 354 loaded ships going out to Turkey, because all of it went to Turkey first, right? And that represented 7.8 million metric tons of grain being shipped out. And that's the ships race to export Ukraine's grain. So they want to try and get as much as they could before the 22nd, because the 22nd of November, Russia done tell them that's what we agreed to. Beyond that date, I ain't no more agreement. So we ain't know what gonna happen. We hope Russia will be lenient enough to let it continue, but as it stands now, it don't look so, eh? Now, third on my list, USS Gerald Ford, the first deployment of the USS Gerald Ford. This is the newest aircraft carrier the United States has. I don't know why it only named Gerald Ford. I figured probably would have named Barack Obama or something. But anyway, this is built about 12 years ago or so. So I guess Barack was in the one to go on that. Gerald Ford gone on that. Barack won't come in later. All right? The newest and most advanced aircraft carrier ever built. After years of problematic testing, it was problematic because they have so much high-tech stuff. It was hard. They try to be ahead of the game all the time. You know how the military is. When they make GPS, when they was going on a dime, they had us going within a mile. So they always want the highest, most technical stuff. So she's now fully operational, up and going. She's set to embark a short cruise in the Atlantic as part of a multinational NATO training exercise. So they have an exercise coming up with 9 nations, a force of 9 nations: France, Denmark, Finland, Spain, Netherlands, Sweden, Canada, and Germany. All these are NATO countries, eh? And of course, you know that. Guess how much this aircraft carrier cost to build? I can tell you that the Icon of the Seas, which is the largest cruise ship ever built, she even ain't finished yet. She still got another 13 months or so to go. She is running RCCL into just over $2 billion. That one ship. Just over $2 billion. Right? But this aircraft carrier, this ran the U.S. government into just this one ship, $13 billion. So when you put all the Oasis of the Seas, and the 5 of them, and plus the Icon, put all them together, and this one aircraft carrier costs more than all of $13 billion. So I want you to know the military operations ain't cheap. Why? What is an aircraft carrier? An aircraft carrier is like a airstrip at sea. And on board that aircraft carrier, they got like 60 planes, and I mean different types of planes. You got the Harrier jump jet, the F-16, the F-281. They get the most high-tech planes in the world, and that aircraft carrier can carry all of them at once. And when they launch, because right now they equip that particular ship with the most advanced arresting gear. What is an arresting gear on an aircraft carrier? An arresting gear is, you see when the plane hit the deck, that's the gear would grab the plane and slow it down so it don't keep going. It slow it down so it don't go straight off the next side of the runway. They got the most advanced arresting gear and an electromagnetic aircraft launch system. So when the plane is about to take off, they got electromagnetic helping that to take off. So it's so easy to take off and land on this ship. And this, again, is the newest, most high-tech aircraft carrier in the world, right? So hands off to USS Gerald Ford, eh? That's all we can talk about tonight. As far as international, I got a lot of feeds. I got like 50, about 40-something feed we didn't talk about, but we ain't talking about them tonight. Tonight, we here to talk about some other stuff. We talking about the foreigners engaged in domestic maritime employment in the Bahamas. We talking maritime people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break, and when we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussion. Listen, people, don't touch that dial, because this one could be lit. Thank you very much.
Staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our King Street South or Charles Sanders Highway location. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Tonight, we're dealing with the foreigners in our country taking care of most or many of our maritime jobs. And I can tell you that there are loads and loads of them, not only in maritime, but taking care of many of our jobs in many other sectors. But I ain't talking about them. I'm a maritime man, and I'm here to discuss, and I wish you would join me in discussing foreigners engage in domestic maritime employment. Before I get started, let me make sure we open the lines, because I got plenty of things to go over, but you could call whenever you want, because you ain't going to stop me. My stuff written down. Call whenever you want. The number to call again, 326-8255. You can call me at 326-8255 if you want to get in on this discussion about non-Bahamians working in this maritime area. There's a Bahamas government policy which specifies, or which dictates, or which directs, that no non-Bahamian should be working in areas like the transportation industry. And it's more than just the transportation, tourism, plenty industries in the Bahamas. It's a long list, right? But my concern is the transportation or marine transportation industry, because that's what I know about. That's where I come from. We ask, are the authorities responsible for enforcing this policy actually doing the enforcement? And we know that the answer has to be no. Why? Because we look around, take a walk on Porterski Dock, check all the mailboats. You are bound to find more than 50% of the crew of almost any one of the mailboats are non-Bahamians. Some got the pretty color, some got the ugly color. But I can tell you that you don't believe me? Go on Porterski tomorrow. Go to any mailboat. Well, not any mailboat. Not them old set where it's go far and thing. But them set, the like little spanking ones, you will see that they have a lot of mixture. And how about those local coastal tanker ships that take fuel from Clifton Pier all around the Bahamas? Yeah, they go to some other countries too, but they go all around the Bahamas. Those jobs should be reserved for Bahamians. See, one thing with ships, international ships are registered to go anywhere. And we got a big registry. The Bahamas has some over 1,500 ships registered under the Bahamas flag. And we share the responsibility to ensure that those ships are all out there operating safely. They ain't polluting the seas, and they got good security on board, right? That's the Bahamas' responsibility for those over 1,500 ships. But guess what? Because they are international ships, we don't say Bahamians got to be on them. We can't make that demand, or we don't make that demand, because we are what you call an open registry. We allow you as a ship owner to hire who you want to hire, so long as the person is certified, eh? But when you have a ship or vessel working within the country, within the Bahamas, going from a Bahamian port to a Bahamian port, that's a domestic operation. No foreigner should be involved in that. You go to the U.S., they have something called the Jones Act. You cannot get a job on a vessel in the U.S. taking which trades between two U.S. ports, unless you're American. Because they lock you up. Who is taking care of us in the Bahamas in that regard? And I don't want to hear nobody talking about, we got a lot of foreigners on them boats, but they got work permit. Work permit my foot. I could guarantee you more than 90% of them ain't got no work permit, if any. Because this is my field. I've been in this. I know what's going on. And all the boat owners out there know why they're doing it. They're doing it because, well, we can talk about that a little later. There's plenty of reasons why they're doing it. There's all to their advantage. And you could say the same thing about the construction industry. You could say the same thing about... And what about the fishing vessels? You got it, people. Stacks and stacks of non-Bahamians on those fishing boats. And a lot of them come under the guise... Oh, well, this man is married to a Bahamian woman and they get cheering and then he could go, he's a fisherman, from certain country, they got good fishermen. I out to hit nobody. But you know what? Why they don't have some of them people from that country come and marry some of our women who don't fish it? That's what I want to know. Why only the set who's fishing coming and marrying these women? And that don't make them Bahamians. So they still shouldn't be going on our domestic fishing boats, fishing in the Bahamas. Because that is a transportation, maritime area of fishing. I don't want nobody talking no foolishness, but, they got to take care of their family. Yeah, they got to take care of their family. Everybody got to take care of their family. But do something else. Do something that that isn't reserved for Bahamian citizens. That's the law. Anyway. We move on. Yeah, we have to conclude, people, that the policy is being ignored. Because for sure, it certainly is not being enforced in this country. Why the government created such a policy? And not only in marine transportation, but any transportation. You got the jitneys, you got the taxis, you got airplanes. Any transportation industry should be Bahamian citizens only, eh? But like I say, we're going to stick to maritime. Again, the number to call, people, 326-8255. If you want to in on this conversation, if you want to challenge anything we say in here, I don't like to be challenged, but if you want to add anything or take anything out, or if you want to add, let me know that, I might be missing something. I'm all open to it. Let's roll with it. What is the real reason for this policy? I suppose to look out for Bahamian citizens that are employed in the transportation arena, eh? Why else would the government have a policy? It doesn't matter who in power. This is not a PLP policy or an F&M policy. This is the policy of the government of the day. The government of the Bahamas. So that policy didn't just go in place. That's been in place before I was born. Well, I know, I was born in 62. I don't know. But in any case, it's in place. As far as I know, it always been in place from the time I was coming into the maritime industry. And the government would have put that in place to look out for Bahamian citizens that are employed in the transportation arena, to ensure that Bahamians do not have to compete with outsiders for job in their own country when it comes to local transportation. It's as simple as that. But are we competing now? There really ain't no competition. These owners prefer to hire the foreigner. We can talk a little bit more about why they prefer to hire the foreigner over the Bahamian. They say we lazy, we this, we that, but we can go into them details later. Who are the entities that are obligated to enforce this policy? The first one we say is the Immigration Department, eh? The Department of Immigration has in their act that if you're not a Bahamian citizen, you have to have a permit under the Immigration Act. Otherwise, you are breaking the law in this country. You can't do no domestic work in this country if you're not a Bahamian citizen and not have status. We know it happening all the time. Come on. Every country in the world it happens. And we even got Bahamians in other countries working illegally. So we ain't no different from nobody else, but we still have an obligation to take care of our own turf. So the Department of Immigration, I say to you, you could go on Porter's Key Dock any given day of the week. And you can have a field day. Plenty fines you got to give out. I don't know what the fine is for these owners. And maybe that's part of the problem. We now need to start fining owners that causes these regulations to be violated. I don't know. Maybe there is some fine, and maybe it's $100 or $200. It could be $1,000 or $2,000. We need to up them. We need to do something about this. I don't know the details. I ain't no law. I ain't no lawyer. All I know is I see the people there, and I know they ain't gonna work permit that they're supposed to have, because quite technically they shouldn't be able to get a work permit to work in an area that's reserved for Bahamian citizens only. So we even ain't talking permit. We talking they need to get locked up. And if necessary, the owners need to be fined or even locked up. I don't know. But something has to happen. So the Department of Immigration, please, kick in. Check Porter's Key Dock out. I don't expect you to check boats at sea. That's where the Defense Force come in. Defense Force carry plenty might. Defense Force carry the way to the Customs Department, the Immigration Department, the Police Department, every department out to sea. Defense Force have rights to deal with situations, or if they don't have the authority to deal with it at sea, they got the authority to bring them in and hand them over to the agency that has the authority to deal with it. I know that for sure. I was a Defense Force officer for plenty of years, sailing, making arrest after arrest. I know what time it is with that. So, Department of Immigration, I say, it rests on your shoulders to arrest this situation with all these foreigners working in the local marine transportation trade in the Bahamas without the proper documentation. Well, they're doing it illegally. Let's put it that way. I ain't trying to find nothing pretty about this. They're doing it illegally. Let's get this sorted out. Now, we also have the Port Department, eh? No, you can't let them go, because the Port Department, they deal directly with Porter's Key. They deal directly with mailboats. They deal directly with all of these vessels. Oh, I don't think they deal with the tankers. Yes, they deal with the tankers, because the tankers have to be registered locally as well, even if they're foreign owned. Officers on the tankers got to be licensed as well. So the Port Department inspects every single mailboat, every single year. Part of that inspection may not include immigration violations, but if you see immigration violation or if you sense immigration violation, it has to be addressed. You are officer of the law dealing with port matters. You go to do an inspection, and you know the people supposed to have a particular license. Now, if a foreigner is holding a boat registration or a boat master's license, A class or B class, we know that's a problem. Because first of all, to get that license, they have to appear before the Port Authority Board. And part of the Port Authority Board causing people to make appearance is to ensure that these people have status to do what they're doing before they could get their license. A foreigner coming in here with a license from somewhere else to say, well, I've been doing this for 20 years, I'm a master mariner, that don't give them the right to be able to get a license to carry boats domestically in the Bahamas from one place to the next. No. The reason for that license is to weed people like that out. These are people who ain't supposed to be able to come because they are good captains, take jobs from Bahamian captains. Right? They've taken the job, and the owners can tell you, boy, you know how hard it is to find a good captain. You ain't gonna never find a good captain if you keep using the foreigners, because you're not gonna cause Bahamians to even want to train. Because number one, you ain't want to pay them what they should get, because you want to pay the foreigner almost anything. Anyway, we ain't reached that far yet, right? Yeah, we reached that far. So the Port Department, you need to be a little more vigilant. You got security on Porter's Key Dock. Well, you used to have them, I think. I assume you still have security out there. You're all around the mailboats more than any other government entity. So link up with the Immigration Department. Let the immigration department know you're seeing plenty of foreigners out there. Because now you know that they definitely don't have status to be working on local Bahamian boats. Eh? And when the boats are registered, of course, they need to say who the captain is. They don't need to say much else but who the mate is. But when you do your inspection, you need to see certain licenses. Captain, deckhand, all of them need to have the SCCW, the this, that. But first of all, you got to make sure they have Bahamian status, eh? And then once we start from there, let's start from somewhere. And then we could give that information to the Department of Immigration. I don't know if there's a big racket going on, and this just a big whole lump of corruption. I don't know, and I don't want to even believe that. But in any event, it needs to be arrested. It needs to be addressed. We could address it. We could address it between the Immigration Department, the Port Department, the Port Authority Board, and the Defense Force. Right? If everybody do their part, or even if one of us do our part, that will start causing things to happen. So let's stop taking it for granted that foreigners are on these boats because the owners got them straight. Because quite technically, they can't get straight unless they're Bahamian citizens. I didn't say Bahamian residents. I didn't say Bahamian spouse. I said Bahamian citizens, because that's what the policy would state. Citizens of the Bahamas. I believe. I ain't no lawyer, but I believe so. Okay, we move on. Why are Bahamians hiring the non-Bahamians in the maritime transportation sector? I want you to know that these people are hired by Bahamian owners, boat owners. You know, foreigner own these boats. Except, well, the tankers. But for the mail boats and all the other boats that doing trade, well, it's mainly the mail boats that these people own, eh? These boats are owned by Bahamians. And they know what they're doing. Mind you, they can give you a bunch of excuses why they have to hire foreigners. Well, give other people that, then you give me that. Because I know better. But some of those excuses, and if you want to call in, please do. Number to call again, 326-8255. That's 326-8255. You're listening to Maritime Matters, and I run on up in here, and I could run on for a long time because I got a lot of stuff to cover. But please, if you want to call in and make a contribution about this, non-Bahamians working in the local maritime sector, you may know about some who are doing it. You may not know. You may want to know a little more about it because I know quite a bit. Feel free to call in. So, again, they give you a bunch of different excuses. These are the ship owners now. These are the owners who hire in the foreigners over the Bahamians. They could find Bahamians. You will never find enough Bahamians for the fleet we have if you keep hiring foreigners or if you allow foreigners to get in. Because it's very difficult for Bahamians to compete with a foreigner. Our cost of living is way higher than theirs. So the salary they could work for and they bling it when they get home, we work for that same salary and we could never blink. Right? Pay us according to Bahamas. Don't pay us according to what you pay the foreigners. So let's get some Bahamians hired up in there. One of the excuses they say is the foreigners can be paid less. Oh, these Bahamians want too much money. You own a ship making mega bucks. And what, you can make your profit anyhow, but come on, man. You want to hire people. And the problem we have is in the past, the only people that they were hiring is people who frequent the docks. We used to call them dock rats. They were not really hiring. Well, back then you didn't need no qualification to work as a seafarer, but now you do. And they were not really hiring professional people who actually sail internationally and come back home now and they're looking for a job and they want to make the same $1,000 a month or whatever the case may be, or work their way up on a boat and make even more, right? They just want the foreigners because why? The foreigners work better. Come on, man, you can compare us with the rest of the world. You got some countries where people work harder because of circumstances. And if we was in those circumstances, we probably work harder than them. So, let's get with the program. Yes, they're going to work better in some cases, in many cases. Especially for the amount of money you want to pay. Call, I see you on the line. So let me just take a break here and get you patched in. Caller, you're live on Maritime. Oh, that line is gone. There you go again. Calling you live on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, Captain Bain, how are you? This is Captain Bain.
Hey, Captain Bray. Oh, I'm in top shape and getting better all the time, my brother. Man, I'm feeling good tonight. I know. I hope I am mashing up too much corns.
Oh, man, you're imagine this was on. This was a very timely topic, and these are things we need to discuss as Bahamians, so we need to fix some of these things.
I agree. And we got the entities to fix it. First of all, the ship owner. Secondly, you got the Defense Force, you got the Port Department, you got the Port Authority Board, you got even the Maritime Authority, because they inspect ships that are not Bahamian owned. They got to inspect them on port state as well, and that's really those tankers. I used to do it when I was there, so I know.
Yeah, but Captain Bain, can we just look at this whole situation in its totality, though? Because when we think about the average ship owner who hires a foreigner, first of all, you hit the nail on the head. He hires that person because he pays less. He pays that person less than he's obligated to pay a Bahamian. But then this problem is not unique to the Bahamas. We have countries like Norway and places like America where their seafarers are some of the highest paid in the world, and they have the same problem. But what they would have done, they would have given incentives to their ship owners to hire the nationals of those countries. So I don't know, because these ships trade internationally, and because we compete with the world in every respect. Why do you think that we need to? Why wouldn't the push be to if we're gonna enforce, if we're gonna engage, if we're gonna cause or encourage Bahamians to hire Bahamians? What are the incentives for hiring a Bahamian? If I gotta pay them more, I have a foreigner who's living on my vessel. He doesn't have nowhere to go. He's always there when the ship is ready to sail. We got the average Bahamian. Every time the ship is ready to sail, he's hanging out with his girlfriend, or he's having a cocktail on the Portuguese dock, and once he has money in his pocket, he doesn't want to sail. Why should me, as a Bahamian, hire him?
Well, the thing is, you got that situation going on because right now, most of the people they hire are, like I said, they dock rats. They don't really go there and seek to hire people who are properly trained to be on board vessels, like the candidates that are graduating from the maritime school in Canada, right? A lot of them have some of them even come to me and say, the mailboat don't even want to hire me. They quite technically don't want to hire the professional Bahamian, right? And there's many reasons. Like you mentioned, the foreigners don't have to go home when the boat reaches the dock. They're living on board, so you got free security, right? Overnight, they living, ain't nobody could go on. But when Bahamians come in, they got to go home to their family, eh? So they go home, they lock up the boat and go home to their family, come back the next morning. With foreigners, they ain't got to worry about the boat having to get locked up and nobody can be on board. They ain't got to hire no security to watch their boat, that type of thing. That's one reason. And they can take advantage of the foreigners, IB. They could, because I am a foreigner and I'm here because you waving this thing over my head that I can send you home if you don't do what I say. I am prepared to do almost anything you tell me to do.
Well, you have a point in that regard.
But it shouldn't be that case, because that foreigner is working in the place of a Bahamian.
Yeah, but the average Bahamian, Glenn, is when they get to Nassau, they simply, like you did mention that the Bahamian will go home and come back the next day. They will come back the next day if they are so minded to come, and very often they're not.
We got some operations. We got some operations in this Bahamas, right? Let me just name a few. Let me
just make the point.
Yeah.
About the fishing industry, then I'll let you respond. This problem exists in the fishing industry as well. If you talk to every fisherman who owns, every Bahamian who owns a fishing boat, he will tell you the difficulty in having a reliable crew to take his ship to sea when it's time to sail. The average Bahamian, they could go there and make about $5,000 in a 10-day trip or whatever the case may be, right? After a 10-day trip, They will take 2-3 weeks off.
Yeah, it's a reason for that. It's a reason for that too, you know.
Come here and make the $5,000. He will make another $5,000. He's there, ready to sail when the ship is ready to go again.
Yeah, you got some Bahamians who prepared to do that too. But do you have a feeding system in the Bahamas for fishermen, whereby you training people from the school level and teaching them how to fish? And because you get a lot of people who on the blocks smoking dope. If they had that opportunity to link up with a fishing boat, they ain't gonna be on the block smoking dope no more, you know, because some of them fellas got children they trying to take care of. But they just don't have that link. They can't just go to fishing boat and say, I won't work with you.
Well, I agree that we have to address that aspect of it. But
yeah, we got a lot of Bahamians who are not working, who would be more than happy to make that $5,000 a trip. They will be so happy to do that.
But then we have fishing boats with fishermen who are exposed to fishing. When they make the 5,000, the bushcrack man gone.
Yeah, because that's that man. But you're going to judge all Bahamians by that one man?
Well, Glenn, I think we have a Bahamian problem.
No, we don't have a Bahamian problem. Our problem is we're not preparing the youth to get these jobs or to get exposed to these type of work.
I believe we need to have a much better feeder system. So when we do have situations with bushcrack and man gone, we can call up next for haircut and shave, next to get an opportunity, right? We don't have that feeder system, and I absolutely agree with you. But we have a problem with Bahamians.
I don't think we have a problem at all. I think you might have a problem with those who are currently in the system. I don't think you have a problem generally with Bahamians wanting to work and work hard.
That we have a problem with a lot of Bahamians who currently in the maritime system.
Yeah, but they're the rats that is hanging around in everybody's use because they there. Ain't nobody's go out and seek qualified maritime people.
But then I remember when I was at the port many years ago, we had a Bahamian who was given an opportunity to work with camel shipping, and they or two Bahamians, and they had to send them home because they said they miss home and they ready to come back home, and they caused a big ruckus on the ship, and like if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, but how many didn't do that though? You look at those two. But how many stayed with camel shipping, went out there, certified themselves? Some still going out on cruise shipping, whatnot. Some still in the maritime field, running different maritime operations and organizations. You can't just look at those two and say, "Oh, Bahamians don't want to sail."
But the vast majority of the people currently in the maritime sector, which is a small amount, in my opinion. I think we just need to have I think we need to speak candidly about our attitude towards work in general. Those foreigners, particularly if I'm a businessman, I'm out there to make money. I'm not there to profile. I'm there to make money. And if I give you an opportunity as a Bahamian, and if I own a fishing boat or whatever, and you make money, I make money, I expect that this would be a match made in heaven. You making money, I making money. But that seemed not to be the case in speaking with a lot of the local ship owners. They have crew members who are making money, but once they make money, that's it. They bushcrack, man, gone. They're not consistent.
Yeah, that's because we don't have a proper feeding system. We don't have a proper training system.
Get a foreigner on board. That foreigner, he's interested in making money to take home to his family. So he's going to be diligent, and he's going to help you to make money. He's going to protect your interests. And then also we have a big problem. This is the elephant in the room. We have a big problem with Bahamians and our honesty when it comes to the people things, right? We have Bahamians who get opportunity to work on fishing boats, to captain fishing boats. They not only they pretend that the freezers are broken down. They sell all the fisheries product at sea. They even sell the fuel, and so we have in that feeder system. And I totally agree with you on the feeder system. We need to teach Bahamians not only to be mariners, But also we need to teach the Bahamians, and we need to teach all our kids. And this is a big broad stroke that I'm making. We have to teach all our Bahamian kids and brothers and sisters that look here, when it comes to being honest and being responsible, that's a big part of that opportunity that you were given as well. And so that's what we got to work on. And a lot of people, they look at the boss's money and they think that that's supposed to be their own, and it doesn't work that way.
Let me ask you a question while we're on this, right? If you are a contractor that build homes, and I'm a contractor that build homes, you have a team of workers that you derive, from within the country, all Bahamians, and then I bring in a team from Mexico or somewhere in South America. I bring in a good 10 fellas who I could pay less. They could work harder. Who you think gonna get most of the jobs?
Oh, the latter.
Yeah, but do you think that will be fair?
No, I don't think.
So it's the same thing in the maritime industry. The bottom line is if you allowed to bring in foreigners, you could do that.
Of course.
But you shouldn't be allowed to bring in foreigners, so you will have to use the Bahamians, just like some contractors have to use the Bahamians to do construction work. And there is catch-hell, but they still find people they need to work, eh?
So.
This is our country. If we have a problem with Bahamian workers, we got to work on that. The solution is not to bring in foreigners to do what Bahamians supposed to be doing. That can never be the solution.
Well, let's be straight up and address the problem straight up then. Let's dispense with all the formalities. Let's be straight up, right? The only way a foreigner could come and work in this country is if he gets permission from somebody.
Well. You mean legally or illegally?
Legally.
Well, you need to get a work permit.
9 times out of 10.
You need to get a work permit, but those people on those boats ain't getting a work permit. I can tell you that.
Right, but they, even if they don't have work permit, they have people who are hired or paid monthly to enforce things like that.
Well, that's what I'm addressing, Irby. The corruption to some extent, but the obligation of this.
Because we also have the security industry, right?
The what?
Security industry that's also reserved for Bahamians.
Of course.
When we look at some of the entities in this country, we see foreigners who are deeply entrenched in the security industry, and just like the transportation industry, that's according to the government's policy reserved for Bahamians. And so the bigger picture and the bigger problem resides solely at the feet of the people who either making the policies or the folks who enforcing or not enforcing the policy.
Well, I couldn't put my case no better than that. That's the whole crux of this show, Irby. This particular show. You hear the name of the show?
Indeed.
Well, the whole idea is that the people who's supposed to be doing enforcement ain't doing it. So people that's running wild and loose and doing whatever they want to do, and Bahamians in the meantime will suffer because we're not going to bill our Bahamian seamanship teams because the owners are not forced to use Bahamian. Do you know that when I first got into commercial maritime, right? We had, there's a guy named Craig. I don't want to call his last name.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Craig decided that he want Bahamians to do his ships. Mm-hmm. And he actually sent people off to school to certify and qualify. And those 2 vessels were basically fully Bahamianized. And I talk about international ships.
Indeed.
But he didn't have to do that.
No.
He could take the easy way out and pay less money and have a bunch of foreigners on the boat. But the reality is, if you look at the marine tanker fleet, the fleet of tankers that do the coastal, they are mainly Bahamians. Yes, they have their share for mainly in engineering and maybe some captains and mates, right? But most of the deckhands on those vessels are Bahamians. And I can tell you, they sign up 3 months at a time before they get 1 month off. And nobody's been looking for them. So this thing has been tried, tested, and done.
Well,
The Defense Force is the largest maritime fleet in this country. And they have all Bahamians. All about still going to sea, eh? So we don't have a problem once we prepare people to get these jobs. Because you know and I know some of these people could make just as much or more than what the Defense Force, especially on fishing boats. Right?
For sure.
But we just need to link these people to better jobs. And the Ministry of Fisheries used to have training ships. They used to have the Guanahani and a couple other where they train in Bahamians for that trade, right? Do they have any training programs in place for young people? No, I doubt it.
No.
Right?
No.
You take a page of the Spanish Wells fisherman boat, or the Cherokee Sound, or when J. Dane and them had all them boats with the Mars Island guys, right?
Yeah.
Who could have beat them sailing and going to sea and fishing in and doing what they had to do? Because they that was a system. We just need to get some systems back in place.
Well, my friend, I cannot disagree with you, particularly in that regard. And I think that we definitely need to have a feeder system for not only our
Call, I see you on the line. Correct. The caller standing by. I with you.
So I definitely agree with you, and thank you for entertaining me.
Hey, thank you for the call, my brother, as always, and feel free to call later on if something else hits inside your head. Take care, my brother. Calling you live on Maritime Matters. Hello. Is there a caller? No caller. Okay, people, that's my good friend Herbie. He and I always going at it. Good guy, very educated, very informative, very informed, and he and I have very good discussions. And I think you just heard one of those discussions. I think I got the edge on him that time. Boy, I know he ain't gonna admit that because he always get me, but I get him that time. We're talking about foreigners in the maritime, the local maritime field in the Bahamas. How are we going to deal with this situation? Because we got a lot of Bahamians who aren't working, a lot of Bahamians who can, if they can get a link to get, and you know what I found when I was in the private maritime sector. I was in the private maritime sector for a couple of years. I found that there's a lot of people who I knew personally told me they were trying for years to get on this boat as a cook, get on this boat as a deckhand, but nobody, the people that don't want to hire them. And in a lot of cases, they probably didn't have no skills. But what are we going to do about getting skills for these people? We have a maritime cadet corps program where we turning out thousands of Marine cadets every year. Well, hundreds every year. But over the course of time, since it started in 2000 and what was that, 2002, 2003, I think. Well, okay, maybe, yeah, 03. It started in 03. We had thousands of students pass through that system. And a lot of them passed through, and then they went off and further qualified themselves, because when they finished with that, they qualified to be a seaman basically on any ship anywhere in the world, right? Especially the ones who went to Holland College in Canada to further their maritime to do. So here it is. We get hundreds of them coming out every year. And they can't even get a job on these vessels where the foreigners are, because why? Because the captain is going to say, oh, you him and you young. And then it's just a stigma that we have with these people. We don't even give them the opportunity. We don't have any forum where they could apprentice into these systems, right? Mainly for officers, deck officers, like people who want to be navigators and mates and captains. We can have a little apprenticeship system, particularly the ones who go to the LJM, Lowell J. Mortimer Maritime School. We have a system where they tie in with some of the local vessels that go foreign, and they learn a lot of things. But they are mainly officers. What about the deckhands, the ratings, the people who throw lines? The Defense Force have a lot of ratings, mainly ratings, that run all of their ships. Marine tankers have a whole heap of Bahamian ratings that run those tankers. I don't want to call some other names, but we got some other companies that deal with but just local Bahamians. The little booze and cruise boats and the ones that go from the cruise ship to carry people to these various little keys and stuff on little trips that they paid for. They're mainly Bahamians. We have a lot of Bahamians who are prepared to work. They just need somebody to assist them in getting trained up for the job and actually getting the job. And I know people say, oh, Bahamians lazy, Bahamians this. But we in the Bahamas, they say the same thing in the construction field. They say the same thing in the hotel industry. They say look at Atlantis, for example. The first thing they say, oh, Bahamians lazy, or they don't last long. Them young people, they don't want to wake. But they got them piled up like that, eh? And they're waking every day. So I say, I am with, if you get rid of the foreigners, we'll have Bahamians, because the owners would then have an obligation to assist Bahamians in preparing them to wake on their ships. And that's how we got to roll with this. So we go back to these bunch of different excuses. And I think my friend Captain Bain, Herbie Bain, covered just about all of them. The foreigners, you can pay them less. The foreigners, they can work better because obviously they're away from home, number one. And, even that the mentality in their country is a little different. They just got a hard-working mentality compared to the Bahamian who come up kind of like, got everything at his disposal, yada, yada, yada. Not all Bahamians, but a lot of us, right? So there you go. The foreigner is going to probably work a little better than the Bahamian if he's given that opportunity. But the Bahamian should not be competing with the foreigner. Why should me as a Bahamian have to compete with a foreigner for a domestic job in my country? I can't go in this country and work. You want to see something? Let a Bahamian go over there and try work in any one of those countries. Try to get a job as a seaman or something like that. Hey, we might be, might only hear they was there. The foreigners don't have to go home. So they're always on board the ship. They live on board the vessel. So that's a plus for the owner because he know that foreigner will always be there. Therefore, they don't. So even as security, they ain't gonna let nobody come on board and carry nothing. The owner can take advantage of the foreigner. How we can take advantage of the foreigner? He threaten him, look, you can't go nowhere. I need you here right now. You got to sail for 2 weeks. You got to do this. I can't give you no overtime. We can't do this because if you can't deal with this, let me know so I could send you home and get someone else. Because where the foreigner come from? Plenty of people waiting to come. And so the owners are part of the problem when it comes to enforcing the government policy for the non-Bahamians in the maritime transportation sector being here to take advantage of our situations. What areas in maritime is being heavily impacted due to failure of the policy being applied? We touched on those. The mailboat industry, the big mailboat industry is being affected. Years gone by, you couldn't find no foreigners on no mailboat. All of the mailboats were fully Bahamian crewed. Well, of course, you didn't have, back then the mailboats didn't have cranes. Well, they had cranes because they had a hole. They didn't have all these forklifts and strad carriers and that type of thing where they got heavy equipment that they move containers around, right? Trailer heads. But who could be Bahamians driving trailer heads? You need to go on the dock where those trailers come in and watch some of them fellas in action. I remember when they had Tropical and Seaboard and all them down on the waterfront before APD was amalgamated and all them gone there still and you can't watch them no more. Man, you watch these guys driving these trailers, you try to figure out how they get these containers in these tight spots. So we Bahamians can do anything to do with mailboat activities. I don't care if you got a ramp and you got to drive everything, roll on, roll off. If you're lifting off, lifting on, you got people who know how to strap up and lift and drive cranes. And who you think drive all the cranes at our port development? You think foreigners drive those cranes when they offloading those ships? They done by Bahamians. My good boy Freeman and them, they the best you could find. And look at Freeport, Container Port. Who deals with all those big gantry cranes? They Bahamians. They burn off the train, they come back, some of them training here locally, and they offloading those big ships, putting containers on them, spot on, every single lap. The strad carriers, who take it off the dock and take it and park it where it gotta go in those tight spots. They're all Bahamians. So don't tell me Bahamians can't get a job done, because I know better. Okay, we got a couple lines left. Line one first. Good evening. You're on Maritime Matters. Thank you so much for calling. Line one, hang up. 3. Line 3, you're on Maritime Matters. You're live. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for calling.
Captain Ben, just want to make one point based on what you would have said.
Yes, sir.
I think the big problem is, and we need to, I think we need to highlight this problem. The problem is there's nobody managing the local maritime situation here in the Bahamas. PJ, simply, I was sitting down thinking and listening to you, and I was saying to myself, a lot of the problems can be rectified if we have competent boards, if we have competent public administrators, competent ministers who actually care. The problem is there's a free for all in this industry, and nobody seemingly is doing anything to fix it. We have both sunken at Portsea Dock today that poses a real maritime risk to the marine environment that's still sitting there and has been here sunk for months. We got boats getting ready to sink. We have the harbor inundated with other sunken boats. I mean, the problem is we don't have no one managing the maritime industry, and so
we got people who's supposed to be doing it. We got people who's supposed to be doing it, Amy.
Hello?
Yeah, I said we got people who's supposed to be managing the maritime industry.
It's not happening. That's the problem.
Well, that's part of the enforcement I'm talking about now, and I'm going to go to them in a minute.
Indeed. So I just wanted to drop that in here, because I think that's really the big elephant in the room. We don't have nobody who's either they don't care or
they fail to act. They just fail to act. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my brother. Thanks so much for that extra contribution. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes. Caller, you on Maritime Matters Live. Good night. Hello. Yeah, I want tired of waiting. I am so sorry, caller. I apologize for that. Is line one still on?
Young man.
Hey, caller. Hey, company. What's happening, company? What's happening? I was wondering what happened to you today, man.
I told Bahamian. I don't hide nothing. I don't hide it. I told Bahamian. I from Long Island.
Yes, sir.
When I go to a certain booth, you asking for where the freight, you paying the freight. How far they tell you where the price is, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They tell you the freight, what the freight is. A foreigner, and no Bahamians there. What's going on?
Well, that's the way.
When I was growing up with the mayor, then you had Bahamians. They giving the price and have freight lists and stuff. They ain't even got freight lists. They're selling it $5, $10 and stuff like that. I don't know what's going on.
Well, the problem is the foreigners had found their way into the system, and now in order to compete, if I have a mailboat and you have a mailboat and you get a couple foreigners and I ain't get none, then my cost higher than yours. So we got to compete with each other. So I need to get a couple foreigners who I could pay less as well, and who could be on the boat all the time, and who could be working harder. So the competition driving up these foreigners being employed, and nobody getting locked up.
And I remember when I used to go, when the Maryland come to Long Island and Emmett boats come to Long Island. They have all the mate for Bahamians. You could go to the mate and get your free list from the mail, and they'll check and everything. Now the foreigners are doing that.
Yeah, but you got the island link, you ain't got no foreigners, eh?
Yes, man. No.
All right. My boy Jed don't have no foreigners bad. You know. Me and you guys talk in secret, because I know Jed don't have no foreigners.
Only preserved for Bahamians.
Yeah, it is.
Landscaping is preserved for Bahamians.
That's right.
Their foreigners doing it.
Well, the enforcers are not stopping them. Do you ever see any of them get locked up?
Boy, I tell you, I don't know.
And us who hiring them, are we getting locked up?
No, sir.
Well, until we get serious, like Captain Bain just said, we wouldn't be able to arrest this problem. It starts with the enforcement.
It is very, very sad to see how we allowing ourselves to entertain these foreigners, and they don't love us. No foreigners love no Bahamians.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think
they love the country, love the benefits.
No, you got some. Yeah, you got some who love us. You got some who love us. But we need to work on this maritime industry where Bahamians could have opportunities, because if they continue to hire the foreigners they do now, they will never want to hire another Bahamian in the maritime industry.
They get the foreigners bringing their conch, the Haitian bringing conch and stuff for that. They're fishing in and selling conch to Bahamians.
Yeah, but that's what's going on, because they're allowed to do it. And if you allow that to happen in the construction industry, the same thing will happen. Next thing you know, Bahamian can't get a job. Well, right now we're having problems, eh?
Yeah. We cannot get a job. It's sad. A fellow on Whiteman, I do that in London, a fellow on Whiteman bidding on a job with me and you, I asked the fellow the other day, how much you charge? Oh, you see the job. Everybody, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but we just gotta kind of put the pressure on them somehow, and we gotta look out for the younger ones coming up, because if we don't do it, they can't do it for themselves.
But brother, let me give you a secret. They are waking up. The Bahamians are making up white permit papers from immigration, and they have get legit. When they're making they're paying $2,500 for it.
Well, I don't know if it's no secret. It's just corruption. We all know that we have corruption in our systems, but the bottom line is us who got to arrest it. We have to point it out when we see it, and the reality is, although they may have a document, that may not be proper registered, So we have to start challenging some of these things.
What I'm saying is that if you bring somebody here to wait, immigration board says, see, show me the work you can put this man to do. Everybody come on work with freelancing. Everybody. 90% of them. I found it every day they say, oh, things, job in the Bahamas. But everybody will go back home.
Yeah, well,
no job, things rough. If you're in a job, go back home.
I agree, but we have to find a way.
I don't know.
Caller, we have to find a way. We have to find a way to stamp it out in maritime. I can't deal with.
What they need is a Long Island man to be in charge of immigration. Put me in charge.
So when what happened, Long Island man got no rank in immigration? I thought Long Island man was all over the place.
No man, put me in immigration. I'll make it work.
Okay, we can work on getting you in immigration and see if we have any changes. But you ain't no corrupt type person, eh?
No man. If a man, let me tell you something. People, if they come to Long Island, and everybody gets it. Everybody in Long Island works for immigration.
Well, I know you all don't play down there with illegal immigration.
Nobody in Long Island.
Yeah, but I bet you on that. But we're going to keep pressing on and trying to fix this problem in the maritime industry with all the foreigners engaged in domestic maritime jobs.
But my brother, let me tell you something. When we cut the constitution, we cut it wrong. You should say, if they come here illegal, whoever fund is illegal. Everybody, you're selling bicycles, you're selling everything. You're selling everything.
I with you on that, my friend. I with you on that.
You're selling everything. Everybody got bicycles. Everybody you talk to. I born Bahamas. People who get passports can't speak a word English.
Wow, you're right. Absolutely.
Where do you get passport?
But we gotta fix that, eh? If we don't fix it, the people who actually doing it, they're not gonna fix it.
China have 1 billion people, and they have a record of everybody. My good friend said he was in China. He married a Chinese, and he said when he gone without his white man, and when he gave him his information, they could tell him who he is.
Yeah, well,
400,000 people, and we ain't know who in the Bahamas all the time. The Bahamas is like a man the 10 children and taking care of 10,000. That's the way we get it.
Well, we can work on the maritime field first. Okay. Some things might be too big for us to handle right now, but if we start and get the maritime side sorted out, we don't know where that may end up getting, the whole country on the right ball and keep rolling and rolling and rolling.
I got foreigners selling fish. They ain't gonna sell. They're selling fish to Bahamians, and more expensive than Bahamians.
Yeah, well, we just need to make sure we get some Bahamians in that industry. And we need to find a platform to actually cause young people to have an avenue to get into that field.
Right away.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for the call, man. I appreciate the call, and let's just keep the ball rolling on this Bahamianization operation and try to get it back to where it's supposed to be, eh?
The company man is here.
The company man is here. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Let me straight on, Bob.
Love you, my brother. Take care.
I love you. All right.
Indeed. Yes, that's the company man. I see we had a line blinking earlier. Nobody answered. Let me see. Call you on Maritime Matters. Hello. Okay, that line is apparently just on. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Again, number to call 326-8255. 326-8255. Is that right? I don't even know if that's right no more. 326-8255. Okay. That looked like it. Got it that time. We have, time gone already. 9 minutes. We're going to just try and tidy up the best way we could with what's left as far as the areas in maritime that is really heavily impacted by, due to the failure of the policy being applied. And that policy is line 1. Oh, got another caller. Caller, you on Maritime Matters.
Good night,
Hello.
Captain Ben.
Hey, my brother, what's happening?
All is good. The venerable Captain Ben.
Indeed. Man, I hope you ain't missing most of the show. You're calling a little late again, but
No, man, he's listening in, man. Come on, man. He's listening, man.
he's a good man.
Yeah,
What's happening, man?
He be calling a couple of times, He be go.
Indeed.
Hey, but Captain Ben.
Yes, sir.
Maritime Matters, right?
Mm.
What is the part of the maritime? You see, at least that's it, right? Water, right?
It's really, the sea. Anything to do with the sea and ships. Really about ships.
Yeah, but Captain Ben, now, we know that our policies talk sometimes, come with get infested with human feces, right? And then they call it one disease with the stomach, where it was a couple of years ago, they had this virus going on with persons who ate the conch. Remember that?
Yeah, I think that came from that. They have a plant. They have a
Sewer plant. Right there.
sewer plant right there. Yeah, as you approach Porter's Key, and you always smell it when you pass it.
Mm-hmm. But Mr. Ben, what I call it to tell you about, because I mean, it's a little off, but it's still on, right? Driving down, basically, this has been going on like a week plus.
Yeah.
Right? There's a man who lives before you get to the Chinese harbor. I think it's Harbor Moon or something like that. But it's like right in front of the National Trust building or something like that.
Oh, you mean down by where Seaboard Marine was? Yeah.
Huh?
Down by where Seaboard Marine was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had.
Guess what? And basically, there's a sewer leak, okay?
Okay.
And this manhole, I don't know if it's coming from because it seems to be going to the plant, right? Whatever that plant is down there by the bridge, right?
Right.
But let me show you something. The sewer been running in the road. The road is swamped with sewer right across the road. And this is like, it's almost 1,000 feet. It goes from there. And even above that, it almost like heading towards like the downtown area, right? But it goes straight to the bridge, the police bridge, right?
Yeah.
Now you mean to tell me now, what kind of country are you running? You got sewer on your main strip.
Boy.
There tourists, I watched with my own two eyes, tourists walking in the middle of the road. And they it's walking in the middle of the road. And they walking in feces, water.
Wow.
Still water.
Yeah, that's bad.
And that's been going on, and it's still going on today. And I mean, when we correct that, because, people will get sick. Cholera is in Haiti, and cholera, I mean, anyone can catch cholera, right? But then, look at them conch they got in the water, and the fish they got in the water there, that Porter's Key dock, and then you got human feces that was so close to the water. You think that already seep in the sea?
Well, when the tide flooding, it goes to the east, and when it happens, it comes to the west. So that is going to be picked up. That's going to be picked up. Yeah.
Calling saying the same thing,
No, but the thing is,
nothing done.
Yeah, what you talking about?
Then anytime you know your country is heading toward a failed state, you can see school on the road, and you see all the kind of things, and everyone corpses and everything, everyone passing by. Like, well, that's normal. It is not normal.
Well, Brother Seminat, you know we have a problem in this country when it comes to maintenance, especially government entity maintenance.
Yeah, we break down whole class, they be in Berlin.
Yeah, but you know you have all along that side of Bay Street, you have a main sewer line that runs. The reason why that, you know why they're there, right?
Yeah, that goes to the plant and it's blocked up.
No, but do you know the purpose? You know the purpose of that sewer line. Why they had to put it there?
To send the sewer from by the hotel and the other up that way down to the plant so it get processed.
Yeah, but they couldn't dig no cesspit out there because you know on that side of Bay Street used to be water. That used to be water.
Yeah. That
So-
used to be that's good, man, Captain Dan, man. I mean,
I
you
agree.
know any number you can call. So there's different dogs I call on for the past, let's see, about 3 days, and that's the same thing. And I mean, it's still the same way. You know, to drive through 1,000 feet of feces water.
That comes under Ministry of Works.
People walking through it, and they walk into the different businesses and things. We need to wake up, man.
That comes under Water and Sewage and Ministry of Works, and I can tell you that they know about that problem. I can tell you that for a fact because I have.
You know, we see problem to resolve.
Well, no, it ain't no easy, but it's all about maintenance because it was there so long and it's now getting old. And the thing is, all of those buildings, their sewer ties into the main line.
All them buildings and the government need to take those properties away from the owners.
No, they need to redo that sewer system. They have to have the sewer system.
The system needs to be redone, definitely.
It needs to be redone. I mean, they need to dig it up and put new pipelines and do it piece. And they have to find a way to do it and continue. People could continue to flush the toilets. You can't just tell everybody they stop flushing.
I mean, people flushing their toilets, right?
Yeah.
Where they are, they're flushing. They may have a little problem, but you know what? All of it is going to the road, the blockage somewhere up almost by the plant.
Yeah, they got to fix that, man.
That big pipe, that's a 2-foot pipe.
They have to fix that. And you talking about it all the time, but I can assure you, those people are aware.
Yeah, but I mean, hold on, man. The politicians, everyone, they bring rights. I mean, if they come to the House Assembly, you got to pass that.
Yeah. So what we can do with all these, we only got 3 minutes left, so I got to engage you since you called. And, we got to find out what we can do with all these foreigners in on our mail boats and fishing boats and tankers and that type of thing in the Bahamas. And they taking jobs that Bahamians supposed to have, eh? What's your view on all of that?
I see Bahamians place. I mean, like, yeah, Bahamians are there, like one a caller said, like, Bahamians are lazy. And things like, you got plenty of lazy Bahamians, you got plenty of lazy nationalities from all around the world. I have experience today. Someone say they bring someone to clean the place, right? Who was doing some renovations, right? And this guy, he's from Haiti, right?
Yeah. The
guy first thing he tell me, he can just clip in there for you, and he don't understand much English, and he don't, you know what? And I talking to this man, right? His pants is down below his butt.
Oh gosh.
Right?
Yeah.
And his glasses down on the end of his nose, and he ain't what I saying. He ain't interested in what I saying, but you know what? He could tell me no. I need to get a next man because he ain't carrying that downstairs.
Wow.
You need 2 men. He ain't doing nothing.
But we got something.
This confusion. We need to take time with our own people.
Yeah.
And bear with them because guess what? When you can't, I mean, as a Bahamian, right? We can't look up for Bahamian. We have no tomorrow. No tomorrow because all the space is be filled by people that have no interest in here. There's interest in what they can carry and to take over. Okay?
Yeah, so Olivia Newton-John told John Travolta, we better shape up.
We have to shape up, man.
If we don't shape up, we got to do it ourselves. We got a whole police force, defense force, all the hotels. They basically get run by Bahamians, we just got to get them to do their jobs.
Basically, let me tell you something. Basically, what we need to do, retroactively, we need to really eliminate all of these fraudulent people who get our passports, who ain't even supposed to have our passports, who basically, I mean, it's like, they have no interest in this country, and to me, all they're doing is bringing us down. Because I remember when I was traveling to the States and things years ago, you know what? Bahamians were held in high esteem, okay?
That's right.
All right? And I experienced that, even with getting like to say, the traffic ticket and all that. They find it's Bahamian, everything changes, okay? But now, our name has been tarnished and damaged and fraudulently carried around by persons who have no kind of affiliation and no love for Bahamians. and they don't care what happened and what they do, because they don't care. And you know what? All the brunt is on us. But you know what? We need to, like I say, retroactively from 1973, man.
Yeah.
We need that, because from 1973, politicians, they did what they wanted to do. We as Bahamians, we have no kind of, I'm talking about input of the direction of this country, and our disabled, us as citizens to be selected for what our talents are, to be, you know, given that opportunity. Because you know what I find in this country? It's always the same set of people, no matter which political party get in.
That's for
no matter
sure.
What shape it's in. It's always the same people in this. You know what? It's like they're willing till they die upon us, because they want to have a legacy, say they did this and did that on us. And be that, like, children have to live whatever they will upon us.
Yes,
And
brother.
it's sad.
With that, you had the last say, my brother. Time is gone.
Yes,
Thank you for calling as always.
Good show, man. I always listen in, and I may be a little late calling, but I always listen in.
Yeah, I appreciate you, my friend. I appreciate you all the time. So you continue to take care of yourself, and we keep in touch.
Thank you, sir.
Indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it. My sponsors for the night again, One-on-One Pharmacy. Just remember, the pharmacies are going to be open first thing tomorrow. They're going to be open all day. They got a big meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock, 1600, with the Prime Minister. And we know good things are going to come out of that meeting. So just keep doing what you're doing, Shantia. You're doing a good job. You guys going to be all right. You guys going to be all right. We also sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection. That's us. Yes, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you, good night. Maritime Matters out.